allowing me to be on this platform, Africa Diaspora Business Forum. Yeah, I think it's a big opportunity for me to be interacting with our potential market outside Zimbabwe. Right. My name is Love Mojambaya from Vital Touch Investments, which is a company with two divisions, I can basically say. The first one would be our we do detergents and chemicals, which is something that I'm not really going to talk about much. We specialize in we manufacture and distribute soap, your green bar soap, your white bar soap, your washing powder, your dishwashing liquid, toilet cleaners, and all such kind of detergents. So we call that our hygiene site. So whoever who has got interest in buying detergents for their loved ones here back home, you can always get in touch with us. But today I'm going to speak mostly with our interesting division, which is Vital Touch Borehole Drilling and Solar Systems. So Vital Touch Borehole Drilling and Solar Systems, I wanted to, Komatinash, if you can confirm whether you are seeing my screen.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Okay, it's still disabled.
No, ask, I'll give you, because I've given you the permission now.
Okay, I'm trying to. Okay, unfortunately, it's Okay, so basically, I'll just tell you about what we do, without the screen sharing, of course. Right. We Vital Touch Borehole Drilling and Solar Systems. We specialize in borehole drilling and solar systems. So on borehole drilling, we do geowater survey, which is the siting yekutsvaga mvura. In siting, what we'll be doing is we'll be looking for aquifers. Geowater survey, generally, it is a non-invasive method used to locate aquifers and determine their properties. So it defines the underground geological structure. It determines the best location for the borehole drilling, thereby increasing the chances of successful borehole, or rather reducing the costs and ensure access to clean water, clean and safe water. So here we are basically going to be using the traditional methods. If you have seen methods, the wired here, then from there we'll be using a machine that we then use to determine, to locate the aquifers or the geological structure. Normally we use the machine on the PQWT, which can which can locate the aquifers down to 150 meters, or rather we can use the ADMT, which can locate up to 300 meters. So that is the first process of borehole drilling. Then after that, we're now going to the drilling stage now, which is the drilling and casing. So normally when we charge our clients, we charge the first standard 40 meters. Then from there, we'll be charging extra meters beyond the 40 meters. So those charges include the drilling and the casing of the 140 millimeter casing pipes. Those are the ones that we'll be using to case. Then if need be, depending on the geological structure of that area where we are drilling, if need be, then we may need to insert another casing outside that the 140 millimeter casing, which is now in a 180 millimeter casing. That's what we call double casing, if you've heard the term double casing. So this casing has got two main functions. The first function is to protect the borehole from collapsing, whereby if rinonga rakaita jecha or something like that, saka rinogona kuti during drilling rinogona kungokolapsa, kana kuti ivhu redu kana rakanyanya kuomesa rinogona kupressa our casing over years. So we then use that outside casing to protect the inner casing. So that is drilling and casing. Now, after the drilling and casing, we now get into the third stage, which is now the installation. So on installation, we can do solar powered boreholes, or we can do electricity powered boreholes. Solar powered boreholes will be using the DC solar pumps, iron direct solar, direct currency. So these are submersible pumps that are powered by solar energy. The advantage of using these in most areas, you are not affected by load shedding, and where there is no electricity, it means you don't need that extra cost. So you can just, during the day when there is solar energy, you can just be pumping your water and probably putting it in the tanks, or wherever you are going to be storing the water. Or if you're going to be irrigating directly from the borehole, then it means you'll be pumping the water. But this, only the limitation now with the DC pump is it only works during the day. So it means it's functional during the day. After the day, then there's no power. Then it will be resting. Then the second option, like I said, is the electricity pump, which uses alternating energy, alternating currents. So with this one, you can pump throughout the day, you can pump throughout the night, provided you've got access to electricity. So here in Zimbabwe, of course, we have got a bit of a challenge when it comes to issues to do with ZESA. It comes sometimes it's not available. So it all depends with the area where you are. So you can then be able to determine, we try in the EP. So we also do in installation. We also install my water storage tanks. My Jojo tanks, my 5,000 liter tanks, my 10,000 liter tanks, depending on what the requirements from the client. And and we are available throughout Zimbabwe when it comes to drilling. Tinosvika kwese kwamunonga muchida, wherever you are. Tinosvika as long as kuine road inosvika ikoko, and I mean the area is accessible, then we are able to come through. Basically, that's what I can say concerning borehole drilling. Then when it comes to solar systems, we do solar systems. Currently we're doing home solar systems. That's what we specialize in. I started up with bigger off-grid solar systems. So we can do your solar systems from 1 kVA up to 10 kVA. That's what we're specializing in right now. We haven't gone beyond that. So we do cells and installations. We sell the inverters. We have the solar panels. We have got the batteries and the accessories when it comes to solar energy. So I think that's what I can say in my 10 minutes. Probably back to you, Mkomatinash.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for Vital Touch Investments. I'll leave you to the floor. Flo, let's give him his flowers. And let's also ask him the pertinent questions. I'm not going to ask him. I'll let you ask the questions. We can chime in. Who wants to start? Just 5 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Captain. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask to Vital Touch. Later on what you call it, how do you charge if you want to install a borehole? Is it on installments or is it cash only, or do you have payment plan How does it work?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sababu. Right. When it comes to issue payments, of course, the first one will be we normally prefer prepayments. That will be the first one. Then sometimes we can agree with the client who will be paid on site. Then we also have clients who say, do the work first. After you're done with the work, we'll pay you as long as we've got guarantee that we'll be able to be paid. That is when it comes to installation. But when it comes to drilling, we've got a policy that payment is done before drilling. So we have got an option of lay-by, where clients come through, they make their payments. We've got a form that they fill until they are done, especially until they get to 75% of the value. Then we can go and do the work. Also pays at the 25%. That's one option that we have. Then we have an option for civil servants here vari kuno Zimbabwe, whereby vanobatirwa mari the SSB. So it's more like we are giving them on a credit facility, then vachibatirwa mari SSB. That's what we have currently. But we are also working on something that relates to farmers, where we are going to be having a project at Tungachita for my farmers, helping them by drilling boreholes and installing installation of the borehole, and also installing 1 hectare of 1 hectare under irrigation, under drip irrigation or overhead irrigation. Then we'll be able to help them through the farming process until they repay the loan.
Okay, thank you very much. And one more question. The first, you said the first 40 meters, right? Driller. Right. So how much will be the first 40 meters? Let's say I would just want to pay cash and drill the first 40 meters.
Okay, so the first drilling charges are normally determined by distance. If we are drilling here in Harare or 40 kilometers radius of Harare, the first 40 meters would be $900. Then we charge $30 for the extra meters, $30 per meter for the extra meters. But for the first 40 meters, it's $900. Then when we go outside Harare, up to around 200 kilometers outside Harare, we'll be charging 1,200.
Okay.
For the first 40 meters.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think I'm done with my questions. If you can just give me your WhatsApp number, maybe after this, or I don't know how I can get it. Then we can discuss further.
Okay. Thank you. Probably my number is +263.
Yeah.
You can type it in
the comment box. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah. I'll take it from the comment box.
We are also getting into what Mr. Sabau just asked. David, I'm seeing you, but there's something that I felt that you said about the issue of lay-by, then having that person pay 75%. I don't know how you are taking it. When someone may be paid lay-by for 75%, you go and do the job, and you are the ones who have surveyed, and you have failed to get the water and the meters that you have agreed, and that person would have paid 75%. How are you going to get the 25%, which this person is supposed to be paid?
Okay, if I'm getting you correctly, you're saying you pay your 75%, then we do the siting, and we go and then we don't get water. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So with the borehole drilling, there are two policies that normally come into effect. We have got what we call the dry hole policy and the wet hole policy. So I'll start from the siting. from the sighting, like I explained on the sighting, when we are sighting for aquifers. Aquifers in Shona ndotsinga dzatinotarira dzinofamba nemvura, or where we're getting spaces where we have got better chances of yielding water. So we are looking at the diagram and see where if the cracks are going downwards, where they converge, there are chances of getting water. So probably where two types of rocks meet, where one rock ends and another rock starts, that creates an aquifer, which has got chances of getting water. So when we sight, the truth is we don't see the amount of water flowing at a certain space at a certain time. But what we see are the aquifers. And that's why you see, if you have seen our sighting reports, we recommend that we've got 66.6 chances, which is 2/3 of getting water. In a way, we are saying we cannot determine the amount of water flowing at that space at a certain time. So that now comes to the issue of dry hole policy and wet hole policy. So with the dry hole policy, we are saying you're just paying for your one hole that we are drilling with the expectation of a 66.6 chances, or 2/3 chances of getting water. But now with the wet hole policy now is different. It's a bit expensive also to the client. But what we are just agreeing with the client is, probably the client is saying, I need 20,000 liters of water every day. So I need a borehole that can pump up to 20,000 liters of water. So it's either you have to go down a depth that can then be able to pump 20,000 liters of water, or if you fail to get enough water from one borehole, then it means we have to drill another borehole, or even the third one, so that if they complement each other, they'll be able to pump the 20,000 liters of water that we would have agreed with the client. So that wet hole policy now gives the guarantee, or gives the client a guarantee, that you are going to get your water 100%. But with the dry hole policy, someone is saying, I just want one hole, and my chances are 66.6% of getting water. But now, from our experience, when we do the sighting now, when we look at the graphs now, we are looking at the best possible chances, or the best possible point where we expect the maximum yield in terms of water. I don't know if I've answered you on that one.
Yeah, I would leave David to come in, but the fix is still there to say this person is paid 75% and they've experienced a dry hole, and you still want the 25%.
Okay, so
because isn't
okay,
an amount, and then you've agreed that you are going to do 40. It is the communication that I'm coming back to say the expectation from that particular person will be that they are going to get water. But then you said there's a lay-by, and I'm seeing a fix where a person is coming back to you and asking you to say, you said this is what I'm going to get, but look now, I don't have the water. And you're saying, no, this was a dry hole. Dry hole, we sign the policy by 25%. So how are you managing that?
Okay, so like I explained earlier, I said the 75% applies to the installation. With the borehole drilling, we need you to make an upfront payment. That's the borehole drilling policy, especially when we're talking about the dry hole policy.
Okay,
the 75%
so
now. Sorry?
You're covered now. That's fine. I wanted you to clarify that one. So you've cleared it now. So
okay,
it's strictly cash. Drilling is strictly cash, we are agreeing. David, shoot now.
Yeah, thank you Mkoma Tinashe. Mkoma Vital Touch. Mubvunzo wandanda kubvunza ndiwo wabva wabvunzwa naMukoma Tinashe kuti hamuna machances here ekuti mune mabhoho hamune makasaita imimi. masaita matadza kuwana mvura. Pakadaro ipapa, how do you treat that? I wanted to come up with such a question. Saka handisi kuziva kuti mukange masaita imimi mvura yabva yaramba kubuda, ini ndabhadhara maybe ndabhadhara cash, right? Ndabhadhara cash, mvura yabva yaramba kubuda ndimasaita. How do you handle macases akadaro? Makambosangana nemamwe macases akadaro kana kuti kune kuri kutotanga?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mukoma. Right. So macases akadaro anosanganwa now. Isusu zvedu, isusu as Vital Touch, we almost got into such a scenario once. Pataka driller in Highlands recently, 2 weeks ago. We drilled in Highlands and ranga rega until we had to go down to 120 meters. Ranga and there was no sign of water. But ma-aquifers anga achito pagraph ma-aquifers anga atoripo anga akatowanda on the point yatakazodrilla. But however, God came to our rescue after 3 days. We then went to check, and interestingly, there was water. Mvura kwayo sokuti takazotoita installation on the borehole last week on that one. But now this is how we work. When we do the siting, like I explained, when we do the siting, we cannot determine the amount of water flowing at a certain space at a certain time. What we are doing, we are siting for aquifers. Tarisa pakakreka matombo, tarisa flow yemakreksi iwayo kuti ari kudzika papi achinomita sei. Ipapo ndo patiri kuti we have got the greatest chances of harvesting water. So if we then get to a chance that those aquifers, we cannot determine whether they are wet aquifers, whether they are flowing water, or they are dry aquifers. But there is nothing that is flowing ipapo. We cannot determine from the machines that we use, the PQWT and the ADMT. They cannot determine that. Currently, Munom Zimbabwe, if we have got people who have got such kind of machines that can determine the amount of water flowing at a certain space at a certain time, I'm not so sure. So, like we said, we are saying our chances of getting water are 2/3, which then gives room in the event that we do not get water under the dry hole policy. That is now referring to the 1/3. But so far, I can safely say hatisati tamboshaya mvura kubva patakatanga kuita drilling tichisaita, hatisati tamboshaya mvura. Patata kufunga kuti akutomboshaya mvura, it was just that last week but one. But interestingly, the water was there patakazoenda tichizonotarisa. And moreover, chinoitika sometimes, maybe one thing that happens when people think kuti havana kuwana mvura, zvinogona kuitika ndekuti when you are drilling, we use pressure. The rigs use high pressure. So if the aquifers are weak, water is pushed away from the hole. So it then needs time to then sink back into the hole. It might need time. So by the time you finish drilling, you might be seeing dust throughout. But after a day or so, when pressure is released and water is now flowing back into that space, because water flows from areas of higher concentration into a region of lower concentration. Now, because this hole is open, it then becomes a region of lower concentration. So water will be flowing towards that hole. So you might think it's a dry hole today, but after you check in 2-3 days, maybe there is water. But it might not be as sufficient as what we would have required. I don't know if I've answered you.
Yeah, mandipindura though ndisati ndanyatsoningiririka. Saka zvoreva here kuti given a chance yekuti ndauya ndakupai mari yangu yekusavhaya, ndakupai mari yangu yese yekudhirila borehole, handitya papanzi hapana kubuda mvura. in such scenarios munoita sei? Tomboti zvaita zvakadaro izvi munopaita sei? Do we say client zvavharana kana kuti pane mapolicies aripo ekuti maybe kana zvadai zvakadai zvikange zvisina kuita maybe isusu tinozodaiwo. Amen. Kuda kuti ndinyatsonzwisisa. Sorry, ndicharamba ndichiri kudzosai mashure.
No, it's okay. Good test. All right. Thank you very much for the question. Right. So what happens is, if we are working under dry hole policy, like I said, dry hole policy, we are taking chances of up to 66%, which is 2/3. Then it means if we don't get water, then unfortunately, this will also be considering we also got an expense a good driller. You know, the fuel, the labor, everything that was also involved. So now, if we then don't get water, we are saying, I don't want to use the word it's really rude. But it's a loss on the client side and on our side as well, because it's also to get a dry hole, we're also losing our chances of doing installation, you see. So it's also a loss, a very big loss on our side, and we're also losing chances to refer to the next clients, because you know, so it's a loss on both of us. But under wet hole policy now, if we hit a dry hole, we are supposed to drill another hole. If it's a dry hole again, we then have to drill another hole to make sure that, because in a wet hole policy, we are agreeing we want to target to get 20,000 liters of water. So we might not drill a dry hole, but to drill a borehole, yield maybe 5 to 10,000 liters of water. So it means we have to drill another one to compensate with that one. Could it is by 20,000 liters of water? So on a wet hole policy, the client is secure because you're saying you have to be guaranteed 100% that you must get water.
I think ndapindurika zvangu zvandangonzwisisa ndezvekuti pa-dry hole policy njuga dzinogona kuwira on the wrong side, unogona kugwandaruzi. And on the wet hole policy,
to ask a question, David, to say, yes, what is the price of that wet hole policy? These guys, they do not want to say.
Yeah, maybe wakatisanangura kuti what's the difference?
Okay, so for a dry hole policy, we are charging, let's say for Harare, we are charging $900.
Dry hole, we had you. Dry hole, we had you say 900.
Okay.
We want the wet hole now.
Okay, so on the wet hole policy, we charge a standard of $8,000. So whether we do 3 holes or we do 2 holes or we do 1 hole, maybe 200 meters, as long as we're supposed to reach the amount of water that we would have agreed on. So we charge $8,000 for that.
Okay.
So how much yield? How much yield do you classify as coming from a wet hole policy?
Okay, so from a wet hole policy, it depends now with the area, because we also do a bit of a research of the area before we agree on the maximum yield that we have to come up with. So it's also when we do our research, we know this area, what is the expected yield, how are we going to reach the yield a client, because the client determine a yield from the client side now is probably because mostly farmers ndo vanowanzo kuita zvewet hole policy. So determine a yield yavari kuda is probably the size of land that they need to cover and the types of crop that they will be doing per land iyoyo. Saka the farmer would then come with the proposal kuti inini panapa ndikuda 20,000 liters of water every day. Are you able to do that? Then we also do our research. So it's not something like we meet, we agree on. No. It's the farmer coming up with his proposal. We also agree with our area we will be able to reach 15,000 liters of water. That's when we come up to the
Okay,
agreement.
that's fine.
So we have to do a bit of a research on both sides.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, hi Tinashe, I'm back again. I just wanted to answer, I can't remember the number of ones. I think it's Mr. Jampaya or someone else, according to Zugutaura Vital Touch investment. And then I'm not very good when it comes to express kuti like Jema site or something. But from my experience of what has been I've seen when I was there in Zimbabwe when vachichererwa, or when I'm here also communicating with Tererai. There's certain areas that are on a vital touch, like for example, Ruwa inonetsa kuti munhu abate mvura. So usually what I do when I'm speaking to the client, I don't know cherewa. I need to be honest with them. Ndomuudza kuti first nzvimbo yako yasaitwa, but iri kutiudza kuti ichabatira mvura pa 35 or kana kuti pa 25. It means my chances ekuti tiwane mvura bore iroro riri kufanira kunge risiri 4, handiti tiri kuti normal it's 40 meters. So client has to know kuti paachacheresa bore, it has to be widen up. Maybe we're talking of 60 or 75 meters. So client ngaigare yakaziva kuti we need to deepen more, because mvura, to be honest, tells the client munhu anenge abhadhara mari yake zvabvunzwa naMr. Jambaya kuti ndenda bhadhara mari yangu, munhu ari kutoexpecta kuti maybe kubhadhara kwaaita ari kufanira kutoona mari. The water is not from Vital Touch or from Vox. No, that's a no. But the client ikaenda, iwo kaenda pa site, ane that brain yekuti mvura ikutobuda, mvura ikasabuda, this is where the fight starts. So unoexplainira client kuti ma chances edu ekuwana ari kutiti tinogona kutanga kubata mvura pa 25 meters or pa 30. But if you're comfortable and okay nekuwedzera mamwe mamita, let's put 20 more meters so that tiri kuziva kuti by 70 meters tinowana mvura, because honestly dry holes ariko. Mumwe munhu anogona kuchera 90, it depends, like area anenge ana gokwe 95 mvura inotangobuda pa 100, but iye munhu anga achiti ada 40. So if you explain very well kune client kuti igare yakaziva, that's why pachizonzi a meter is $30, zvatoitirwa kuti 40 meters dzaatari kuda hadzina kubatwa mvura, so takuwedzera. So munhu anofanira kuenda uno. That's why bore richinzi it's cash on delivery. Pasite anobhadhara cash yake, or achaenda kuoffice kwevanhu onobhadhara harina chikwereti, because client anogona kukuti ambobhadhara 300 obva atoti andichabhadhara ime 800, but imi machera. I hope maybe kutsanangura kwandaita kwangobatsirawo someone else, especially ninge kunzi munoita sei munhu ati 40 meters abhadhara mari yake obva ashaya mvura. First explain to the client before musati matoenda pasite. I mean, musati matochera, because this is where the tension starts. Munhu anenge achitoexpecta kuti zvandasaitirwa ndikutoda mvura. No, mvura ndeyepasi. Mvura haizi yemunhu, haizi yekampani, haizi yakewo futi munhu ada kuchererwa. You can win, you can lose. That's ball.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sister Sandra. Yeah, that really explains it. Normally patinotoita sighting tinotokuudza client kuti tikuexpecta mvura apa, but we have to go down to this point kuitira kuti yield yedu inge yakanaka.
Yes.
Hi, sorry, can I just ask a question? In the case that there isn't any water, shouldn't there be a percentage of money that I pay, given that you are not going to install all the equipment for that borehole to be productive? So is there a percentage? That's my first question. The other one is there a percentage that you give to me before I commit, to say that there's a probability of 50 or 40% that will get water, so that then I am able to commit again?
All right, Tuli, let me answer you straightforward, Neshona, so that you understand well.
I'm the
Okay, no, it's fine. So let me just make sure that it's clear to everyone. When you are going to drill a bore, you need to pay cash. There's no certain percent. Maybe vital you can pay 500, 300, 200 until your money is enough so that you can be installed one. When we drill bore, we need diesel. We need my pipe. So there's no way 40% or 45% you can be retained the money. That's a no. That's why we said when you're drilling bore, we need to explain to you to say we are going to get the water at 35 meters or 40 meters. So be ready to add more meters, to extend, to widen up more, so that maybe if we reach 70 or 80, the water is not for the compound, for Vital or for Vox or for you. What can I say so that maybe you really understand? The water is for, it's
No,
from the
I
above.
understand that the
Yes.
water can, the site can move. I get that. But at the end
Yes.
of the day, you have not done a full installation just because when you got
Okay,
to
wait.
the point.
I
Yeah,
get your
go.
point. Remember, we are only drilling, not siting, not installation. We can only install my pipes, but we have never done like Georgia Teng and all the stuff. So it means you only paid 900 for drilling. That's all. You only paid 900 for drilling.
So in that situation, Sissy, do you then leave the piping that I am paying for? Do you leave it in that dry
Yes,
hole?
we do it because when we drill, we also put those blue pipes. We put them, we don't take them. Even Vures now, but we put them in.
Okay. So in that
Yes.
situation, are you able to remove them so that I can reuse them elsewhere with another company?
That's according to the client if she wants